I manifested my dream life using the law of assumption, and I want to tell you how I manifested my dream life, what I manifested, and if I was getting started over the 3 things I would do to jumpstart my law of assumption journey. I have been manifesting my entire life, but I wasn't really conscious of all the things that I was doing in order to achieve the dream life that I am living today. So let's back up. And what is the law of assumption? The law of assumption in the easiest terms is what you believe to be true will become true. What you assume to be true will become true. What you assume will happen in your life will happen. So if you assume luck is not on your side, that will happen. If you assume luck is on your side, you will find more opportunities where you feel lucky. So law of assumption is living in the end that it's already yours. So for example, if you bought a new car, you wouldn't be saying, oh, I wish I had that car. I wish I had that car. You would say, I love my car. It's so beautiful, this and that. But there are different ways that you can access and utilize the law of assumption to help you bridge the gap from where you're living to that dream life that you want to live. So let me tell you a little bit about my dream life, and I'm going to share with you all the things that I manifested that I think can really help inspire and motivate you. I am from Anchorage, Alaska. I've lived there, grew up there my entire life, and in 2023, my husband and I became snowbirds and we got an apartment down in Florida. So we live right by Disney World. We live in Celebration, the town that Disney built. Disney has since sold it back to Orlando, but all of the Disney touches are still in the community, and everyone who lives here are all Disney adults just like me. We even have our own drive, our own road to get right to Magic Kingdom called World Drive. So I live in Alaska and I live in Florida. I am self-employed. I have my own coaching and counseling business that allows me to live in both communities. I really believe in the ability to create the dream life without any fear or limitations, right? The only limitations we place are the ones that we have decided upon. And at any moment, we can change those limitations and create the life of our dreams. So let me just share some of the things that I have manifested into my reality with the law of assumption. So the first one, this one was so huge. And looking back, I'm like, man, I was that girl. I was in undergrad with a finance degree, and I was an RA, a resident assistant, and my mentor at the time, she was like, do not pay for grad school. She was like, there are so many opportunities. And so she installed this belief that I will not pay for grad school. I took it to a whole another step. And I was like, I'm not going to pay for grad school. I'm not going to pay for housing. I'm not going to pay for food. And I'm going to get paid on top of that. How am I going to do this? I have no idea. Then through connections, I ended up going to this conference called OPE, where you basically interview with all of these graduate schools and you do what's called an assistantship. So you're basically a part-time worker and a full-time student, and there are so many different opportunities, and I did one through housing. So I was going to live on campus, I was going to manage the desk staff, the student government, and the resident assistants. And on top of that, I was only applying to schools that were going to pay for my schooling, give me a stipend, housing, and food. I did this huge interview process. I think I applied to dozens of schools. I ended up getting 3 offers. So 3 schools said that we'll pay for everything, out-of-state tuition, your housing, your food, and you get a stipend. So I ended up going to the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. If I would have paid out of pocket, everything would have cost $100,000. It would have cost me $100,000 to go to out of state. I was an Alaska resident. I still am. So out of state tuition for graduate school. It was 3 years, housing, food, and a stipend on top of that. And I manifested all of that through the law of assumption, because that belief my mentor said is, you will not pay for grad school. They're going to pay you. So I graduated and I had no debt from graduate school. I did, unfortunately, have debt from my undergrad. I had about $60,000 after all of the interest, taxes, and fees. But I said, no, I'm going to pay this off in rapid speed. Once I graduated and once I got my license for my counseling degree, I started a private practice where I was seeing counseling clients, and I decided to keep my main job working at a treatment center for detox, alcohol, and drugs. And I was going to take all the money from my business and put into my student loan debt. I was able to pay that off in rapid speed through the law of assumption. I just knew that I was going to have a wait list of clients. And within 1 year of opening my private practice, I had a 6-month wait list. My voicemail on my phone literally said, "I cannot take any more clients. I am so sorry." Through the law of assumption, I believed that I was booked and busy. I ended up having a huge party, look at the footage here, to celebrate me paying off my student loans. And after I did that, I decided to just focus on growing my business, that I didn't need 2 jobs any longer in order to sustain that identity of paying off my loans. The next thing that I manifested was my house. I was house hunting, and my husband and I, we weren't married at the time, but we were house hunting, and we didn't have the biggest budget, but we knew exactly what we wanted. 3 bedrooms, we wanted tall ceilings, we wanted a 2-car garage, we wanted a backyard, all of the bells and whistles. And my realtor at the time said, "There's a house that's going to be foreclosed. The bank owns it. Let's go check it out." I went and checked it out. I walked in and I said, "This is my house." I literally walked in. I said, "This is my house." And he's like, "Well, I don't know. There's going to be lots of bids because the bank owns it. So that means it's going to be valued lower than what the market would be because I couldn't sell it." And I was like, "No, it's going to be my house. Just watch and see. It's going to be my house." Through the law of assumption, if you assume it to be true, it will become true. There were over 8 bids on this house, and I, your girl, manifested that through the law of assumption because I walked in and I could feel it in my bones. This is my house. This is where I'm going to put my table. This is where I'm going to put my couch. This is where I'm going to put this. And I just knew it to be true that it was going to be mine. When I was in college, my best friend had an Audi, a white Audi, and she called it Sugar. And I told her, when I am done with school, I'm going to buy an Audi, and it is going to be my dream car. It's going to have all the bells and whistles, and it's all going to come together. And I just kept thinking, I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen at the right time. So after I had paid off my student loans, I had extra income because obviously I was working 2 jobs. So I went to the Audi dealership and I said, "I want a green car, heated steering wheel, heated seats. I want the big moon roof. I want all the bells and whistles." And they were like, "That doesn't exist." And I was like, "It's going to exist. It's going to happen. We're going to make it happen." So then I came back a month later. They called me. They're like, "Come back." They're like, "We just got word that we can make green cars. It's this beautiful forest green. Here's a photo. And everything you want, but it's going to take like 3 months, 4 months to get made and shipped here." And I said, "Fine. Say less. Here's the deposit. Let's go." They ended up, it was so funny. I went on an Alaska cruise. Highly recommend if you've ever want to go on a cruise. And if you want to see Alaska, do the Alaska cruise. We get off the ship and they were like, "Oh, your car is here early. Come and get it." So we literally left the cruise and we drove up to Anchorage and we got the car. Here is a photo. And when I paid off that car and I got the letter from the DMV that says, "This car is officially yours," I was like, "Oh my goodness, I manifested my dream car." And now it's not only just my dream car, but it's officially mine. I'm no longer making payments on it because I assumed that I was going to find my dream car and my dream color, everything I want, all of that, and it happened. Here's a really funny story. When I was in graduate school and our professors asking everyone, "What kind of counselor do you want to be? Who do you want to work with?" And I said, "I want to work with celebrities." And everybody in the class laughed at me. Everybody laughed at me. They're like, "You're not going to work with celebrities. Like, you want to work with Kim Kardashian?" And I was like, "Maybe. Why don't celebrities need therapists too?" And everybody laughed at me. And I can successfully say, obviously I can't say who I've worked with, but I have worked with many celebrities, and it was so affirming that belief came true, that I knew in my heart of hearts I was going to work with celebrities. I've worked with people who've been on Netflix. I've worked with people who have record deals, book deals. I've worked with really, really amazing people, and all through the law of assumption. If you believe it to be true, it's going to come true, but you have to have that unwavering belief. So those are all the things that I've manifested to date. The things that I'm working on are even more exciting, and I know that they're going to come true because I believe it. I'm saturating my mind with that identity that it's already mine, therefore it will come true. So if I was starting my law of assumption or my manifesting journey over today, here are the 3 things that I would do to ensure that the law of assumption is working for me and not against me. So the first thing that I would do is EFT tapping. So EFT tapping rewires your limiting belief. So if you have a belief it's not going to work, well, then that belief is going to come true because your brain's reticular activating system is going to look for evidence on where is that true and how can I make that true in my life. So for example, if I say, go find a blue car, your brain is now going to be searching for blue cars. And all of a sudden you're going to be on the road being like, where are all these blue cars? That is the same thing with limiting beliefs. The brain just wants to confirm, is this belief true? All right, doesn't mean it's factual. It's just going to look for evidence. So if I have a belief, everything works out for me, then the brain's like, great, let's find more evidence to support those beliefs. It's going to change our filtering system to look at that. So EFT tapping not only is going to rewire your brain, it's going to release limiting beliefs, but it's also going to regulate your body. And when your body is more regulated, you're more open to believing the impossible to be possible. So it's no longer impossible, it's I'm possible through EFT tapping. And I've got you, and you are going to be so excited for this opportunity. I have a tapping membership. It's called the Tapping Studio. It's only $22 a month. And you will have instant access to over 160 plus tapping videos new tapping videos are added every single week to help you on your law of assumption journey. Because when your body is regulated, your brain and mind are more open to believing that your dream life is already yours. So you can check out the description below to join. The second thing that I would do if I was on my law of assumption journey is muscle testing. And I've only made a couple of videos on muscle testing, but if you would love a video on how to use muscle testing for the law of assumption, I can definitely make its own video. But basically, muscle testing, you're going to ask yourself, do I expect this goal to come true? Yes or no? And if your subconscious says no, great, we can muscle test. Okay, is that a limiting belief? Is it an inherited belief? Do I need to saturate my mind with a new outcome to make it believe that it's going to happen? So muscle testing can give you feedback in real time with your subconscious mind. And it is so amazing. I have been muscle testing for the last 2 years. It has changed my life. And when I'm combining muscle testing with EFT tapping, chef's kiss, let me tell you, you will become unstoppable. So muscle test, am I in alignment? Do I believe it's going to happen? Do I expect it to happen? Are there any limiting beliefs holding me back? Is there a certain EFT tapping that I can do to help me on this journey of manifesting my dream life? And the last thing that I would do is robotic affirmation. So we need to saturate your mind with a new identity. I am wealthy, I am successful, I have an 8-figure business, I have a 7-figure business, yada, yada, yada. Oh, I did manifest a 7-figure business. Totally forgot that was on my vision board to have $1 million business. And your girl achieved that in 2024. So robotic affirmations is when you repeat the same affirmation over and over and over to saturate your mind. The brain needs repetition. So when you were a little kid, your brain received repetition through your caregivers, through your classmates, through your teachers, right? The energy and the words that they would say to you was repetitive. You're not smart. You're not good looking. You're terrible. You're a bad girl. You're a bad boy. We received all these repetitions of negative messaging. So in order to believe it's possible, we have to rewire the brain with a new belief and through robotic affirmations. And robotic affirmations is literally just repeating the affirmation over and over like a robot. So you can listen to it. There are plenty of apps that you can use to listen to it, or you literally just recite it and use a counting app to count. And you can do what are called saturation sessions, where you go for a walk and you're just repeating the affirmation over and over. You're sitting in your home and you're just repeating, or you're driving and you're repeating. The goal is to saturate your mind with this new identity, this new belief. So those are the 3 things that I would do if I was starting my law of assumption journey. Let me know in the comment section below, what are you manifesting? And I want to know, which of those 3 things are you currently using for your law of assumption journey? Are you using EFT tapping? Are you using muscle testing, robotic affirmations, or are you using all 3? Again, you believe it'll come true and it will come true. If you haven't received your manifestation and you're using the law of assumption, it's because you have not embodied that identity that it's already yours. When I walked in that house, I said, it's already mine. Like, this is my house. I live here. The realtor said, no, you don't. You're going to have to outbid 8 people. And I said, I don't know what they're going to pay. This is what I'm going to pay, and I'm going to get the house. And I got the house. And it worked out even better than I could have imagined, because I had that belief it was going to work out. When I went to grad school, I had the belief that they were going to pay for it. When I started my business, I knew I was going to have $1 million business. When you feel it in your bones, in your soul, it will come true. And when you don't, that's when we get to do all of those rewiring, regulating, all of that to help you get on board. I am so excited for you in your law of assumption manifesting journey. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. I release videos out every single week and I can't wait to see you in the next video.